maybe last but not least, turns, jibing, tacking. Maybe during when you're on. So, what's your experience like? What did you learn? Like maybe planing turns, but also like when you're flying on the foil.
Yeah. Well, for like I said, I didn't look into it much. So what I saw some videos, and I saw the most common kind of turns were the jibe in windsurfing, you know, like the downwind one, and then the upwind attack, and how they were just like flipping the wing over their head. So the first thing I did, and this on my video also, where it was completely the first time I ever tried, and it came out quite well, and I was pleased. But then after that, it didn't, not even one more turn. So complete beginner's luck. But yeah, I just kind of, without flying on the foil, I was just going, and I just, you know, like windsurfing, push the sail back, kind of look where I want to go. And then it was turning me upwind, upwind, upwind. And once I reached kind of the maximum I could bring it upwind and was helping with my legs to kind of steer, I would just quickly go flip the wing kind of over your head, and at the same time just switch the feet.
Yeah.
And I would say focus on, if you're doing it like that without flying, is focus on grabbing the wing as fast as possible to get some power and get some stability back. And you would like, I whenever I do it not on the foil, I'm always pointing. When I come out of the turn, I'm always pointing too far upwind. So it's going to be a lot of pressure on pushing that board back into the normal direction and kind of make sure your wing catches the wind. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of just, I would look at some videos specifically on turning, and again, practice on the beach, the turning the wing around, because that's where the important thing is. Obviously, I have a 120 liter board. I can turn myself around on that even without a wing. It's floaty board. But if you don't do the wing right, it will just pull you off, or you will end up with like the wing completely wrong place, or not being able to grab it, or whatever. So it's mostly about wing control. And now I've managed like one or two jibes when I'm up on the foil, but really I'm still working into them. And I think some of my main mistakes, and like, correct me if I'm wrong, because really, like I said, I don't know much about the jibe. So when I was going around the first jibe, one of my main mistakes, I think I was trying to copy windsurfing too much. So what I was doing I was kind of pulling in power to go around. And now the ones I managed to actually pull off, I did the exact opposite. I kind of came in with speed, left the backhand completely, and start carving the board around, and then turn the kite or the wing over your head and focus on grabbing it. No switching the legs, like come out, switch stance, and try to keep it going, and then switch the legs. But one of my main mistakes, I would say, was that I was kind of, especially for the windsurfers out there, I was coming into the turn, like looking into it, and I was like just power with the backhand, you know, like speed up as much as I can around the turn, but it doesn't work because it kind of it carved me around too much. So I ended up probably, I don't know, I couldn't see it, but probably my one side of my foil was coming out of the water. You know, that's how much I kind of leant down. So I would say that's a big no-no there. Don't pull power like in the middle of the turn. Kind of pick up speed, get your power before, and then just focus again on the legs and on the foil, and focus on carving it around just with the toe pressure. Right. And the other thing here was probably, it kind of worked one time, but I would say probably in looking at it now, I would say don't go crazy on the pressure. Like go nice and smooth around, where I was again probably from windsurfing a bit too much pressure on the toe side, kind of trying to carve the board as if it's a normal board, you know, in the water, and trying to use the rail or something. You know, obviously you don't need to do that. So kind of take it easy, maybe relax the knees, and kind of don't lean the body in too much, you know, just work with a lot of power in your kite. That's called the carved jibe, not the wing foil jibe. So I think I would say that's kind of the main mistakes I made, and now they're kind of getting there slowly. And of course, like I mentioned before, don't try at least on your first attempts, don't try to switch the legs while you're jibing. You know, just kind of come out, switch stance, keep it going up on the foil, and then switch the legs. But I find that
maybe the two breakthroughs that I had that would have probably helped is, like, especially when you're planing and you want to turn, I did the same thing as you did. Like I approached it as as I would approach a windsurfing tag. So or a kitesurfing tag, it's actually the same on a waveboard. You kind of going upwind, and then you have this moment where you basically go zero gravity, kind of, where you turn the sail or the wing, the kite or the sail, and you switch your stance. So this is this one moment where you do all that in synchronized, and then you go the other direction. In wing foiling, I found that makes my life a lot more complicated. So basic rule that I go by is never switch hands and feet at the same time. Definitely. So you first, either you go into the tag and you switch your wing and then you can switch your stance, or the other way around. You switch your stance, you go into the maneuver, and then you switch the wing. So the only thing that I basically try to do during the maneuver is switching the wing, not the feet.
Yeah.
And then a second breakthrough that I had is like, you probably can switch the wing, so switching the hands basically, a lot earlier than you think. So because in a power jibe, it's the last third of the power jibe where you shift your sail. But with wing foil, in the first third of the jibe, I can already switch it, and I just go the other direction. It's like it feels effortless.
The radius you have on the wing is much bigger, I think. So the moment you're kind of pointing even completely down the wind, you can already grab the wing and come out. But I think you're very right. Don't try to do both together. It's far too complicated. Also, another thing I would say for people kind of going at it for the first time and they want to decide, should I tack or should I jibe? Go for the jibe. I think the jibe is much easier. And for windsurfers, this might seem kind of strange. They're like, well, the jibe is easier than the tack. Yeah, I think in wing foiling, the tack is very technical and very like precise on the timing and the movements. Like I haven't even come close to doing one up on the foil. So I would say go for a jibe first. And I think this is much easier because it's got a flow around it and you don't rely so much on the power. You can relax and kind of focus on the legs and get yourself around, especially if you have a little swell. Like an ice line or swell, you can use the swell kind of to go around as well. Like that's one of the first ones I ever kind of got around the whole way. I was doing it down a wave, not a big wave, obviously, but so I was doing it down a wave, and this kind of made basically the water in front of me flat. And it also gave some push to my foil, so I didn't need to pump if I was losing too much speed or anything. It kind of just kept me going. On a nice wave. So obviously this depends on the conditions everybody surfs, rides in, right? But if you have the opportunity, I think that, and definitely jibe as the first turn. I think it's much easier.
Yeah, it really helps. And I think something that you did naturally, I had to figure it out. So that was my other breakthrough, is like trying to keep the wing a little bit more over my head in turns and not in front of me, because it would then be more like a parachute, like stopping me. So when you have it up, it doesn't matter if you're tacking or jibing, it helps you to stabilize because it's pulling you up a little. It helps you to deal with gusts because the gust is not hitting your wing full power. It's just like going through it. And you have full control over it to turn it, switch it, whatever you want to do with it.
Yeah. Definitely has to be up high and neutralized. Like just take the random, gusts or power or anything out of the equation completely. And that's one of the nice things with wing foiling. You can do that. You can kind of go to neutral and focus on one thing. So definitely that kind of like I just kind of threw the wing around and tried to flip it, and that's where it went on its own. And then I felt like, okay, that's nice. And again, this is something that people should definitely practice on the beach, like on the land. Like this shouldn't be like something you did on the water and you end up saying, oh, I should have grabbed that handle and not that handle or something, of that kind of type. You should have already solved this problem on the land and then try it in the water. But I think it's a lot about just taking it cool on the foil around the turn, but a lot about wing control, like just be able to flip it around, be able to do it without affecting the rest of your stuff much.
Yeah.
Get down.